Friday Cheers, 5:30 to 9 p.m. at Riverfront Festival Park.
Tonight on Nightline, piloting the Predators. We take you behind the scenes to meet the young men and women with their fingers on the triggers of Hellfire missiles, fighting the war in Iraq from outside Las Vegas. It's a Nightline exclusive. The whistleblower. He warned that 9/11 could happen all over again, and he lost his job in the process. Is this any way to keep America safe? And game over. Why is Atlantic City so mad at Monopoly? Because its prime real estate will no longer be part of the country's most popular board game. Dismay on the boardwalk and Park Place as a sign of the times.
From the global resources of ABC News, with Terry Moran in Washington and Martin Bashir and Cynthia McFadden in Times Square, New York, this is Nightline, May 2nd, 2006.
Good evening, I'm Terry Moran. Tonight you're going to see 21st century warfare like you've never seen it before. Real life and death war fought in much the same way you'd play a video game by young men and women who are in the thick of battle for hours at a stretch and then go home to their families. For the first time, the military has let cameras inside an obscure facility in Nevada where young pilots are guiding the path of the Predators. Las Vegas, Sin City. Just about as far away from the war in Iraq as you can get, you might think. You'd be wrong. At Nellis Air Force Base on the outskirts of Vegas, just off the runways, there's a small group of camouflaged containers. They may not look like much, but inside, where no TV cameras have been allowed to go until now, inside, you'll find the front lines of the war.
You know, it's a truck. It's a truck.
Small truck.
Yeah, that's what I stand in the back. It's their standard Haji truck.
That's Iraq up on that screen. It's nighttime over there, and the Air Force pilots sitting here in these cramped quarters in Nevada, 7,500 miles away, are flying over that target in Iraq by remote control. They are fighting the war from here, piloting one of the cutting-edge weapons of warfare in the 21st century, the unmanned Predator drone. 27 feet long with a 49-foot wingspan. Top speed, about 135 miles per hour. It may not be big, it may not be fast, but it is deadly. And it has become indispensable.
It's very lethal. I mean, it's just amazing for me that I can hit a 2-foot by 2-foot square from 7,500 miles away. It's just, it's an amazing piece of equipment.
Lieutenant Colonel John Harris is the commander of the Predator Squadron here. For the past 3 years, he's led his pilots and Predators on the battlefields of Iraq and Afghanistan and helped open a door to a new kind of warfare where foot soldiers in combat, pilots in Nevada, theater commanders in the Middle East, and generals in the Pentagon are all linked.
All of the connectivity that we bring along with us to the battlefield. I mean, the Predator is the definition of global net-centric warfare. We fly the airplane, yet we're connected globally to multiple places on different continents. Every day, it's a normal course of action.
Here's how it works. From the airbase in Nevada, the pilot's commands are sent along secure undersea cables to a U.S. facility in Europe, then bounced off a satellite down to the Predator as it hovers over the battlefield. The plane sends its pictures back up to the satellite, which gets them down to the troops on the ground and back to Las Vegas. So all these people in all these different places are looking at the same moment of the battle.
Yes, they are. And that means different things to different people.
Even though the planes are launched and landed at air bases in the war zone, they are controlled from Las Vegas, and the action begins the moment the pilots start their 6-hour shifts, heading into those innocuous-looking containers. By stepping into this ground control station, as it's called, Predator pilots are really stepping into the battle space in Iraq or Afghanistan. This is basically the Predator's cockpit. U.S. forces on the ground over there depend on what they do here.
I mean, it almost looks like a video game a little bit.
It can feel that way at times. But like I said, when things really start to get interesting or bad things happen, it feels pretty darn real.
On this shift, Major Shannon Rogers is the pilot of a Predator stealthily circling a group of buildings north of Baghdad. U.S. intelligence on the ground believe it to be the home of an insurgent leader.
What did you do before you flew Predator?
I was a Strike Eagle driver, so F-15Es.
What's the biggest difference between the two planes?
Strike Eagle goes about 50,000 times faster and carries a lot more Boombas.
But the Predator can be plenty deadly. Inside here, there is always the possibility of real violence.
There's a person moving at the bottom of the screen.
What are you doing now?
I'm talking to my mission coordinator, telling him that we see a person moving at the bottom of the screen. So any activity that is seen, we will voice it up, and they'll run it through the correct channels.
Staff Sergeant Kimberly Farrell is the Predator's sensor operator. She directs the plane's laser-guided Hellfire missiles, a duty that has put her, even though she's here in Nevada, in combat in Iraq.
It was exciting. My heart was beating very fast. It did not feel like a video game then. I knew it was real, and I knew that what I was doing, having to hold the laser and designate the correct spot, that's real.
The current Predator is armed with 2 Hellfire missiles. A new model will carry multiple missiles, and they have been fired scores of times in Iraq, Afghanistan, and elsewhere, like this attack in Pakistan. An unsuccessful attempt to kill al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri was carried out by CIA Predators, but it shows how powerful the weapon is. 18 people were killed. For Predator pilots, who often see their human targets with striking immediacy, firing their Hellfires is intense.
When you've done that, how do you deal with that?
You go home. Personally, if you have religious, you pray or do whatever it is that you need to do.
What do you do?
I think about it. That's really what I do. I think, okay, what did I do? What happened?
The Predator's job is more than firepower. In fact, the plane's most valuable capability is what the Air Force calls persistence. Fighter jets can project tremendous power, but because they burn so much fuel, their time in battle is limited. Not so with Predators, which can fly for 20 hours at a stretch.
For the first time, in really at a tactical level, on an everyday level, we have the ability to put something over the battlefield and keep an eye on a target 24/7. We go out, and we're there forever. So we can literally just outweight the enemy.
And watch him. 2 insurgents work hurriedly in the middle of the night, laying an IED. They dig in the road. A third man joins them. The Predator fires. A direct hit. For the pilots, the cycle of hours of inaction in here, punctuated by attacks, followed by home life in Las Vegas, can be weird, especially compared with deployment in the AOR, or Area of Operations, Iraq.
As somebody who flew big, fast fighter jets, is there more pressure or less pressure in this job?
It's a different kind of pressure. The reason I say that is, in a fighter wing, you deploy to the AOR. Once you deploy, you can kind of cut away a lot of your home life, because now your home life is associated all around your squadron. So you can kind of compartmentalize your personal life and just focus on your squadron life.
But when you say the stressors are different, what do you mean?
You know, you come back, you're all excited. Hey, you know, I shot a missile, I saved people's lives on the ground, that's a great thing. And, you know, you go home and your wife's like, okay, honey, go to bed, it's sleeping time.
We don't usually talk a whole lot about what we do at work, but, you know, it's a very real part of your life that you come in, you're a warrior, you're going to go kill somebody, and then you're going to go home and go to dinner. That's different, but that's what we do.
But for all the dedication of the men and women here, and for all the technological wizardry the United States brings to the battlefield, the insurgencies in Iraq and Afghanistan remain tenacious and undefeated.
Can you imagine what it would be like without the Predator?
It'd be a lot tougher than with it, that's for sure. What Predator brings to the fight is our ability to see on the other side of that building, on the other side of that hill. What we bring with us with Hellfire is the ability to just take out that one point little target there, some of these insurgents go out there and they'll hug up against near a mosque and think that, no, they're not going to, you know, drop a big bomb on me here. Well, I can go in with a small one to take you out.
And one final note, a few Air National Guard units are now being trained to fly Predators for possible use along the U.S.-Mexico border to control immigration. And now we go to New York, and my co-anchor Cynthia McFadden with the story of a whistleblower with a warning. Cynthia?
Good evening, Terry. Fascinating report. Just ahead on Nightline, terror warning, the high-ranking Homeland Security official who raised the alarm and lost his job. And game over. Why is this gambling town so mad at a board game? Does it have to do with the red-hot real estate market? It's a sign of the times.
Wireless data network for your small business, $0. The latest color printers for your small business, $0. 5 Trio smartphones for your small business, $0. Feeling like you can take on the world? Priceless. Use your MasterCard business card for a chance to win a technology upgrade put together by an IT expert.
The superior hold of Fix-It and Control, now combined with a blast of scope flavor for fresh breath. New Fix-It and Control plus scope flavor.
Cosmetic procedures. Why bother? For you, there's Olay Regenerist. Significant skin improvement day by day. Women who use Regenerist may find they've lost interest in cosmetic procedures.
Thursday, a Diane Sawyer exclusive. Mary Cheney, the vice president's daughter, breaks her silence.
Are you asking me if being gay is a choice?
From the political to the personal moment she first talked with her parents about what she knew in her heart.
Cheers. Yes, cheers.
Primetime, Thursday at 10/9 Central.
Let me ask you, are you one of those folks who would rather have a good hot dog than a so-so steak? You aren't? Then you're certainly not the kind to settle for a so-so hot dog. Particularly now that Valleydale has brought back its original honey weenie. Still the only Frankfurter made with pure natural honey. Pick up a package at your grocer. The original Valleydale honey weenie. It's the hot dog lovers love.
Who's the man, baby? Got me some cash.
We came to Lone Max Title Loan to get fast cash for our weekend getaway.
For an unexpected bill.
To get cash back in my pocket.
It only took about 15 minutes.
And all I needed was a clean and clear car title, plus a valid ID.
There were no hassles and no credit checks.
They wanted our business. And I still have my car.
Lone Max Title Loan.
Helping me get the cash I need.
For whatever.
Call 1-877-511-CASH.
Terms and conditions apply.
Nightline continues from Times Square with Cynthia McFadden.
Now to warnings ignored in the fight against terrorism. As the Inspector General for the Department of Homeland Security, it was Clark Kent Irvin's assignment to see if the department was doing its job. What he found and what he is prepared to disclose tonight is very troubling. ABC's chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross is here with an exclusive report. Brian.
Cynthia, this is a man who knows this country's vulnerabilities and says he lost his job trying to fix them. Is it your belief that a 9/11 could happen again? Planes could be hijacked and crashed into buildings?
I'm quite confident that it could be done again. That's exactly right.
16 months after leaving his job as Inspector General, Clark Kent Irvin is now coming forward to tell what he knows of the Department of Homeland Security. What he describes in a new book as lies to Congress, political calculations, and disturbing failures at seaports and airports.
We know that the terrorists continue to be interested in aviation. They understand the improvements and modifications that we have made to aviation security since 9/11, and they are attempting to exploit the vulnerabilities that remain.
When you fly, do you think about that?
I think about it all the time, and it troubles me, really, how vulnerable our aviation is. I really know the details of it in a way that very few Americans do. I know exactly what the vulnerabilities are in each airport.
Can you tell us today?
I cannot, I'm afraid.
But knowing that, you must be very concerned.
I'm very concerned indeed.
A longtime Republican, Irvin was a deputy attorney general in Texas before coming to Washington for the Bush administration. serving first as Inspector General for Secretary of State Colin Powell.
He wanted me to tell it to him straight, not what he wanted to hear, but what he needed to hear so that the department could be as effective as possible.
In the wake of the 9/11 attacks, when President Bush created the Department of Homeland Security, Irvin was asked by the White House to become Inspector General of the new department.
I was told that they were looking for a very aggressive, independent watchdog.
But Irvin says he soon ran afoul of Homeland Secretary Tom Ridge and the White House as he issued one stinging, embarrassing report after another about the failures of the new department.
I came to be seen as an antagonist rather than an ally.
You write, my efforts to call attention to the gaps in our security were derided, dismissed, and ignored by the men whose job it was to close those gaps.
That's right. Rather than acknowledging the vulnerability, moving heaven and earth to implement those recommendations, instead efforts were made to deride us and to dismiss our criticism.
Starting with what Irvin's investigators found in their test of screening for weapons at American airports, which supposedly had been improved after the 9/11 hijackers so easily got through with their weapons.
What we found was profoundly disturbing. We found the results remain classified to this day, but the results were exactly the same 2 years later as they were in '01. It was just as easy 2 years later, after the creation of the department, for auditors to sneak these deadly weapons past the screeners, and I was confident that if our auditors could do it, Al-Qaeda could too.
Irvin says the situation is even worse with cargo put on passenger planes.
One of the things that the average American probably doesn't understand is that virtually none of the cargo that travels aboard our passenger aircraft is inspected for weapons of mass destruction or for other deadly substances. It's a huge vulnerability that's just waiting to be exploited.
Virtually none of it?
Virtually none of it. And we're leaving the inspections up to the airline industry when we know from bitter experience that the airline industry does not make safety its #1 criterion.
As for U.S. seaports, Irvin says he began his own investigation of nuclear security there after ABC News twice was able to ship depleted uranium into the country undetected.
There are many instances in the Department of Homeland Security where it's clear that the department has not done what it's promised to do. I think a perfect example of that is this container security initiative that suggests that cargo that's bound for the United States from abroad is inspected, or at least that 100% of the cargo that might be dangerous is, when, as I say, only a fraction of it is.
Just not true.
Not true.
And they say that anyway.
They say that anyway. I think they say it deliberately, frankly, to suggest to the Congress even, and certainly to the average American, that we're safer than we are. It provides some comfort, surely, to the American people, but it's false comfort and it's cold comfort.
We're safe in America.
Irvin says as Homeland Security became an issue in the 2004 presidential campaign, the pressure increased on him to stop criticizing and publicizing the failures of the Bush administration. Irvin says he was called in by Secretary Ridge for what he calls a dressing down.
The secretary said to me at one point during the course of the meeting, "Are you my Inspector General?" I had an Inspector General when I was the governor of Pennsylvania, and Inspector General there never issued critical reports and sent them to the legislature and gave them to the press. Why do you do that? And my response was, this is not Pennsylvania. I'm not your Inspector General. I'm the American people's Inspector General. At the end of the day, you and I both work for them. And the American people have a right to know what the terrorists know. The terrorists are not in the dark. The only people who are in the dark are the American people.
Was it angering you to be called on the carpet like this?
It disappointed me because I had such high hopes for Secretary Ridge. The point of the conversation was to intimidate me, to stare me down, to force me to back off, to not look into these areas that would be controversial, not to issue critical reports.
A few months later, Irvin was out as Inspector General. His temporary appointment was not renewed by the White House.
I'd done my job, but I was leaving. Secretary Ridge and his leadership team had not done their jobs, and they were staying. And I thought to myself, doing your job in Washington can ruin your career.
Irvin has a book out this week, and a spokesman for the Homeland Security Department said Mr. Irvin is entitled to his opinion, but that the notion he was muzzled in any way is fundamentally flawed, Cynthia.
And Secretary Ridge.
Well, he's out of government now, but he told Nightline in a statement that Mr. Irvin's version of events is wrong. Ridge says he never sought to keep any reports from Congress, but Cynthia, Mr. Irvin is sticking strongly by his version of what happened with Mr. Ridge.
As always, our thanks to Brian Ross. When we come back, the realities of real estate. Why is Atlantic City feeling left out by a board game? It's a sign of the times.
Nightline, sign of the times. Brought to you by Sprint.
In between practice runs, it's a scramble to modify Tony's car. So our team carries Sprint mobile broadband cards to every track. They can wirelessly download performance data from headquarters and make adjustments that make a difference.
We drop the track bar and close the shock stop.
All right, let's try it. We said yes to making better decisions faster. We're all card-carrying yes men.
With Sprint Business, you can make just about any place a workplace. Get a mobile broadband card for $49.99 with an unlimited data access plan. Yes, you can.
We gotta be more efficient. What would Shuford do?
We gotta think big. What would Carter Litwin do?
What would Watkins Worldwide do?
We've got to be more nimble.
What would those guys at Hornstein do?
Visa helps make businesses of any size more efficient, whether your company's big or just your ideas are. Your business is your life. Life takes Visa.
When something is real, you know it.
Ain't nothing like the real thing, baby.
Introducing new Just for Men. Its new True Color formula targets only gray. Easy as shampooing for a natural look that is real. Real to the eye, real to the touch, real where it counts. New True Color Just for Men.
Here you go, Pete. Hey, Pop.
2 years ago, I had a heart attack. Right there where Tina is standing. If it weren't for Bayer aspirin, who knows?
To me, Bayer's an amazing thing.
Just think about it. The same Bayer aspirin I take for headaches
And me for backaches.
helps save Pop's life.
Bayer is an important part of this family.
Always will be.
It truly is a wonder drug.
And try Extra Strength Bayer Back and Body. It rushes relief to the site of your pain.
LL Cool Jimmy?
Like MSNBC had a story saying that you wanted to be called Todd Smith. Todd Smith is the real me. Call me Todd. Can I now be LL Cool J if you're going to be Todd?
Tonight, Sir Ian McKellen and Franz Ferdinand on an all-new Jimmy Kimmel Live, coming up only on ABC.
If you're looking for a hidden treasure for your home, follow us to Roanoke's best-kept secret, Black Dog Salvage. Here you'll find 40,000 square feet of elegant, one-of-a-kind pieces for every room. From architectural antiques to wrought iron, you'll be amazed at what we've salvaged. We can even custom make the perfect piece for you. When it's time to dress your home, visit our marketplace for an eclectic gathering of accessories. Expect the unexpected at Black Dog Salvage.
From Atlantic City tonight, game over. We last brought you to this town a few weeks ago when the bars were up in arms over New Jersey's smoking ban. Now the whole city has something to be cross about. It's Much Ado About a Board Game. ABC's Nancy Weiner has a sign of the times. It is one of Atlantic City's main claims to fame. For 70 years now, it's been the setting for the world's most popular board game. Every single property on the Monopoly board corresponds to an actual Atlantic City location. I'm on the boardwalk at the intersection of Park Place.
Boardwalk. No one can stop me now. No.
But now the aging game is getting a facelift. In the new version, called Monopoly Here and Now, the railroads will be replaced by airports. Rents are being adjusted up for inflation. And those Atlantic City properties are all being pushed aside by glitzier travel destinations to be determined by online voting. The gambling mecca that was once a playground for American aristocrats is being banished from its own game.
We took offense to that.
Slighted city officials have set up petitions at visitor centers and on the city's website. They're not asking for much.
Maybe it's the just visiting section just outside of jail. You can just very easily say just visiting Atlantic City.
This is my street here.
Leslie Warren grew up on Mediterranean Avenue, a purple property.
We're the original Monopoly game. Atlantic City was the original Monopoly game. I think we should still have a place on the new board.
It's tough news for a town that recently lost the Miss America pageant to its younger sibling on the gambling scene, Las Vegas. But Hasbro hasn't budged. In fact, it says as online voting stands right now, the White House will take the place of Park Place. And New York's Times Square will boot Boardwalk. The Boardwalk's famously colorful characters are outraged.
I think it's a terrible thing.
Are you upset about what's happening with Monopoly? This is hardly the first new version of Monopoly.
We have like Oceanopoly, which has like facts about marine animals.
But Hasbro says Here and Now will be the new flagship. It's a lesson from today's red-hot real estate market. No one has a monopoly on Monopoly. For Nightline, Nancy Weiner, ABC News, Atlantic City. The end of a classic, though it is hard to argue with Times Square, and it is certainly a sign of the times. When we come back, a look ahead at the vicious competition for acceptance to, believe it or not, nursery school.
Hello there. We're married. We're the Slowskis.
Hi.
We moved here a couple of years ago for the Great Pond out back.
I love it. I'm like a fish.
This house is also far from the DSL central office or remote terminal, which makes our DSL connection slower, as opposed to Comcast, which is fast no matter where you live.
I didn't know you could read.
There's a lot of things you don't know about me.
Connect fast from anywhere with Comcast high-speed internet. It's Comcastic.
With Vonage, I talk as much as I want and pay a lot less. It's just $24.99 a month, and that includes voicemail, caller ID, three-way calling, and a lot more. The voice quality's great, and I even get to keep my same phone and phone number. I've had Vonage for 4 months. Should have gotten it a long time ago.
We're not out to change the world, just the way you talk to it. Sign up now and get your first month free. Call 1-800-398-5521. High-speed internet connection required.
Wednesday on an all-new Lost.
I found them.
How many of them were there?
They're barely armed. We can take them.
Their ultimate challenge begins.
We are gonna get my boy back.
An all-new Lost. Wednesday at 9, 8 Central. Only on ABC.
I'm getting old. Well, beauty starts on the inside.
The simple pleasure of Philadelphia cream cheese bread. Rich, creamy, and 25% less saturated fat than butter. Philadelphia, a little taste of heaven.
Oh, it's a steakhouse, yeah, at Applebee's, babe. Inspirations every night. This joint is cooking, man, she's good looking. Steakhouse inspirations are out of sight. Sirloin and crab cakes, oh, chicken Asiago. Oh, steakhouse inspirations at Applebee's.
Pick it up, carside to go.
Where does once in a lifetime happen all the time? At a place just east of unexpected and north of unbelievable. And now, make even more of your visit with a Busch Gardens 2-day ticket. Enjoy 2 days of fun, plus a bonus 3rd day. Explore the worlds of Busch Gardens Europe. Make a connection in a whole new direction.
The legend of King Arthur, Guinevere, and the Knights of the Round Table, a stirring tale of love, honor, betrayal, and chivalry. Lerner and Lowe's lush musical Camelot sparkles with wit and unforgettable melodies. Contact the Academy of Fine Arts Warehouse Theater for tickets to Camelot. The legend awaits.
Tomorrow night on Nightline, why are all these parents sleeping on the rough streets of New York City? Believe it or not, they're trying to get their children into nursery school.
I can't believe I'm going to be waiting in line in the freezing cold. I mean, I'm freaked out completely about it, considering the fact that I'm 6 months pregnant. And believe me, I'm going to pull the pregnancy card big time.
She's talking about preschool admissions for 3-year-old, 4-year-olds. Nightline's cameras have spent months behind the scenes with young families wanting the very best for their children. Co-anchor Martin Bashir with our special series, Child's Play, Privilege, Power, and Preschool, beginning tomorrow night on Nightline. And that's our report for tonight. I'm Cynthia McFadden. For Martin, Terry Moran, and all of us at ABC News, good night, America.
ABC News, the only network news honored with the prestigious prestigious DuPont Columbia Award for Excellence in Journalism. ABC News. Accurate, credible, trusted. Connecting more Americans to the events of our time. This is the promise of ABC News.
I won $1,300 playing ABC 13's Community of the Day contest.
Each weekday, ABC 13 is giving away $1,300, guaranteed. Watch ABC 13 News at 6 and Virginia News Tonight at 7, when the Heart of Virginia Community of the Day is announced. Be the 13th caller, name the correct community, and win $1,300.
Someone's going to win. It could be you. Good luck.
The great Grizzly meat-off is off! This Grizzly truck is up for grabs! The truck is up for grabs! People, you gotta eat the Grizzlies to win the truck!
Shoney's new Grizzly is here. 2 slabs of beef, Grizzly sauce, and a honey of a bun. Grizzly burger, crispy fries, and creamy coleslaw, all for $4.99. Now that's a Grizzly of a deal. Eat this, win this.
When you bring all the power of Nextel together with 2 great offers, there's no way you can lose. Act now. Get a free i710 with walkie-talkie, email access, and GPS navigation capability. Plus, get 500 bonus minutes with a national super connected plan. Call 877-97-NEXTEL to shop or find a store and get the i710 free. Call 877-97-NEXTEL now.
Watch the home makeover updates on Good Morning Virginia all next week.